Welcome to another episode of Everything Intellectual Property. Today, we have a very special guest with us. This person has created a device that simplifies the CPR process to give yourself the best chance at saving lives. Please help me welcome the founder of CPR Wrap, Felicia Jackson. How is it going, Miss Jackson?
Hi, Dave. It's going amazingly well. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, for sure. And I was going to say what I always like to do in this, doing these video interviews, because I get a chance to obviously talk to you face to face, but also to the extent that the audience is not maybe familiar with your device or the tool that you've created. Can you maybe explain to them what it is that you've created?
Right. So I keep one with me all the time. I created, got to be ready. I created a disposable CPR template that empowers, protects, and guides any non-medical respondent to perform CPR. It's called CPR Wrap. It's an all-in-one template. So if someone goes into sudden cardiac arrest, you take it out of the packet, small, it's in the palm of your hand, put it on top of the victim, has a one-way valve mouth barrier, visual hand placements to show you where to do compressions with instructions written in English and Spanish right on top of the template.
I'll tell you what, as a patent attorney, I see a lot of inventions. I see a ton of inventions. You know, a lot of them, unfortunately, you're like, okay, whatever, so what? But then you come across a few of them from time to time, you like, that's a hit. Yeah. And when I saw yours, again, we were talking about the Buy It Now show on Amazon that you were in. But when I first saw that, I'm like, man, this is a hit. So I guess with that being said, I had wanted to ask you, because the story behind it is, man, this is a deep story. Typically, kind of people have kind of less deeper stories about how they, what inspired them to create the product. But you talk a little bit about that aspect of it, because your story was, man, it was really a life and death situation.
It truly was. It truly was. I come from medical background. So CPR trained every year. And I have 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. And, you know, we were on a drive, my family, and my son was 2 years old at the time, choking. You know, I look back because I'm always checking on him. I look back, noticed something was wrong. And my spidey senses went off of my mom's senses. It's like, oh no. I screamed to my husband, pull over. We got to the side of the road. He takes our baby out the car seat, shoves him directly to me because I'm CPR certified. I should know what to do. Back blows, everything.
Right.
When I looked at my baby, my mind went completely blank. It was crazy. I was shaking him. God, help me. Jesus, help me. Crying. So my husband, who's an Army veteran, he saw that I was panicking, took our baby and dislodged what was obstructed, which was a piece of candy. One of my daughters had given him a piece of candy. And oh my goodness. So I had hightailed it to the hospital where I worked because we had just passed the hospital, shoved him to the doctor that I knew, and he was okay. But it was like, man, I should have started CPR because we call it circling the drain. I mean, eyes was rolling back.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad. And so at that time I should have started CPR and I couldn't remember. And so, I was really upset with myself, happy that my husband saved his life, but it was like, if I can freak out and forget, what about people that have never done it before, don't even know that, but only seen it on television, what's going to happen? And that's the reason why CPR Wrap is here.
No, and that's interesting for a number of reasons. Number one, the fact that, like you said, somebody who was CPR trained, and I mean, you get into these high stakes situations, especially you're talking about life and death, whether it's your kid. I think even on the Buy It Now show, you were telling a story where somebody they had the CPR Wrap, but they kind of threw it to somebody else to help them save somebody else's lives that, again, it had nothing to do with kind of them and their family members. So I thought that was interesting. But being, CPR certified, you get off into the real thing, so to speak, and things can happen. You can panic, whatever the case may be. But this kind of device ensures that you don't do that, or it kind of makes the instructions clear. Because is that my understanding, where the instructions are clearly kind of noted on the CPR Wrap, so that even if you do have that kind of your mind go blank, you can kind of, okay, let me go step by step based off of kind of what's on the product and be able to perform CPR. Is that correct?
That's correct. Visually, and it's written. So, some people can't read. Yep. So you should be able to look at this product and do exactly what it tells you to do.
And then, it's been a while since I took my CPR class. I'm talking about 10 plus years ago. But, from my understanding, if I recall correctly, it's different, whether you're an infant or a child or an adult, that, the testing or kind of the protocol is different, so to speak. Is that accurate?
It's accurate. The compression depth, 1.5 inch, 1 inch, over 2 inches, one hand versus 2 thumbs versus 2 hands. And so when you're in the thick of it and that adrenaline is rolling, everything is fight, flight, or freeze. You don't know.
And you probably won't know until you get, that's the crazy thing about it. You can do all the testing that you want, but until you get in that actual environment, you don't know which one that you're going to do, the fight, the flight, or the freeze. And again, this obviously the device, the wrap is good because regardless of what it is that you kind of experience, you can kind of snap back to reality and have clear instructions. I was going to ask you this because, again, you're not necessarily a medical doctor, but from my understanding, you are a physical therapist. Was that accurate?
Yeah, I was a physical therapist before I started the business. Yeah.
And so let me ask you this, because as I was reading the profile, it seems like the physical therapy, you did that around 2013 or somewhere along those lines, but then you had started to take these kind of accelerated programs, certifications, entrepreneurial programs. So what made you say, because this seems like that was that kind of in anticipation of CPR Wrap, or did you always kind of want to be an entrepreneur someday?
Yeah. Never wanted to be an entrepreneur. Never crossed my mind. Because I worked, when I came up with CPR Wrap, I wasn't a therapist yet. I worked in a hospital, emergency room registration, but it was after the fact, because even though I have a great product, I knew it was needed. Yeah. Life is going to life. So I had to take care of my family, went back to college, and got my degree. But I had all of these other entities around me, these medical doctors, cardiologists, respiratory therapists, and so I had these people who I can say, hey, this is what I have. And I could pull from their expertise to really get the product. Yeah.
So what made you, because I like the way even your website, it kind of really lays out the journey. 2014, you began a process for a patent. Again, all the way until kind of the launch date of 2018. So it wasn't an overnight thing by any stretch of the imagination. It was year after year after year. Was that because, again, you talked about life, and was that because of, life took so long, or were you hesitant? What was kind of the hold up between 2014, which is a great thing. We're going to talk about being able to protect the IP, but then also 4 years later, the product not coming out or launching until 4 years later. Why was that gap in time?
Right. I don't come from a family or background of money. And as much as I wanted to get investment, people were not invested in concepts. It was tech, I couldn't get it. And then, I knew I had to get it patented. And so it was like I was taking a step. I had this great product. I didn't want to tell too many people. I knew the processes because Google was my best friend. And then I figured out that, okay, I'm a micro entity, maybe I can file. Yes. No. So I don't need that thousands of dollars right now to apply for the patent application. I paid $50 and I did it myself, and then when I was able to pitch and get, it wasn't money. In lieu of money, they gave me their services, which was my first patent lawyer. Nice. Right. And so I was able to file or, do the actual filing through them, because I was able to say I was patent pending the way I did it. But after, they did what they needed to do. And here we are.
I was doing an interview yesterday, and that's one of the great things. Again, you talk about I could say so many things about, it's why I love kind of what they say, the American dream, and being able to kind of, because you see these stories more often than not where people who maybe come from humble beginnings, being able to create a product and kind of figure it out, going to have a ton of success and kind of really changing the trajectory of their family lives. And with all these different services, whether, sometimes you do the pitch competition to get money to help fund different portions of the business, or it seems like in your case, you did the pitch competition and you had got the services of the in this case, a patent attorney to turn your provisional to a non-provisional without you having to pay money. That's one of the things I like about, I know the entrepreneurship process can be overwhelming when you're thinking about, I got to do manufacturing by myself, I have to do IP by myself, I have to do marketing and advertisement, but it is kind of these kind of programs and kind of different things that you can utilize, services that you can use to kind of help out the process and kind of do all that without you having to spend a ton of money personally, which not a lot of people know about, but it seems like you were able to take advantage of different things that in your situation.
Yeah. I mean, you got to look within your ecosystem, when you're a city, and then score, they have scores in a lot of the cities. And that's where retired CEOs, entrepreneurs, or whomever, they get together, they offer their services for free, and they point you in the right direction. And so I had them behind me, and the other people that I've met along the way, as far as pitching goes. I mean, these lawyers, they're really out there, And I used to get mad because it was like, man, I'm pitching, I want money. I don't want services.
Show me the money.
Yeah, show me the money. But little did I know, you need that. You need that IP protection. You need marketing. You need the financials. And so all of that came into play that really helped me build my foundation for what I needed to do.
And this is interesting too, that I wanted to ask you now, did you know about IP beforehand? Because again, you were working kind of amongst doctors and hospitals, and IP can be a part of that, especially medical device industry, things of that sort. So did you know about IP prior to having to file an application, or it was all kind of the school of hard knocks, learning on the fly?
It was school of hard knocks, but that was my mindset. It was like, but I had the wherewithal to know, hey, I'm not going to go out there and blast to the world, I got this great product, without seeing what type of protection. And when I say Google was my friend, Google was my friend. I looked up the USPTO, United States Patent and Trademark Office, and they have a lot of little, videos, and people have made videos on what steps to do. And I just soaked it up like a sponge. And that's just me. That's who I am, because I want to know what to do, how to do it, and make sure I do it right. Because it was very important. I knew this is a global product.
For sure, for sure. And again, I'm gonna touch back on that global product here in a second. However, again, it seems like we're similar learning in that, and I don't want to read a whole bunch of words. I read enough at work, having to read patent applications day in and day out. So I want to look at a video and somebody talking to me and describing clearly the process. And again, like you said, the USPTO have those videos to help out others. So again, audience members, to the extent that maybe you're not finding what you need to find on Google University, you maybe want to give the USPTO website a shot, because they do have helpful videos to help you through the process, not only on the patent side of things, but also on the trademark side of things.
Yes.
So then, kind of knowing that this is a global product, I know some products that I come across, whether it's kind of personally helping out a client or just kind of coming across just somebody who has a product, it can be, the U.S. typically is going to be your dominant market in a lot of cases. However, with something like this, again, CPR, that's going to have applicability worldwide. And, a lot of people don't know. They think that just because you get a U.S. patent, that means that you can protect it in other countries. It's like, no, you have to go file for patent protection, not only in those countries, but it's a time limit. So it's not like you can file in the U.S. and then 5 years later file it doesn't work like that. You have to kind of do it within a certain time frame. So was that something that you were able to do to understand that, hey, having a wherewithal to know that, hey, the U.S. is a big market, but however, this thing is maybe beneficial in China or in Europe or Taiwan, whatever the case, Japan, other countries, such that you file for patent protection in those other countries?
Yeah. Now, what you just said triggered me, because Okay, so you are your biggest cheerleader for whatever you have to do. Not everybody's going to see the vision, right? And so my very first patent attorney didn't see this as a global. And
what?
Yes.
Get out of here. What?
Yes.
What? That triggered me.
I told him, look, this is a worldwide product. It can be used worldwide, globally. And I knew I had, from the time that I did the patent, you have what, 12 months?
Yep, a year.
12 months to apply to do, is it WIPO? I forget the mnemonics. I forget what it was for you to have the international protection.
It's called a PCT application, where you can file a PCT application a year after that provisional. And that actually buys you some additional time to decide what specific countries you want to go in.
He didn't do it. He did not do it. He didn't do it. And it was like, I'm paying, at the time I had the money, and it was like, I'm paying you money. Why would you not do that? And so that time had lapsed. And so I was so upset. I got another lawyer, and so he told me that any other country that I wanted to have protection in, I have to go to that individual and pay a certain amount of money and get that protection. And that's what we have done. That's what we continue to do as we go into different countries with this product. Yeah, but I was so upset.
Yeah, no, I don't know how you can look at this thing and think it's not applicable or worldwide. Again, I get some stuff is kind of more so niche in the US, but this clearly, again, if somebody's choking and needs CPR, whether they're in the US, like I said, Japan, Europe, whatever, it's still going to be applicable to that. And that's surprising to say the least. Now, let me ask you this, because again, a lot of people don't kind of really appreciate the fact that you have different types of patents. It's really 3 types of patents, 2 of them that are more kind of used compared to the plant patent, which is the 3rd type, but you have the utility and then you have the design. Did you do both the utility and the design? Again, the provisional application is really only applicable to the utility patent, but did you also follow design? Because that can be not only as important, or but again, doing it at a lower cost. It only lasts for 15 years compared to 20, but it's going to be a fraction of the cost compared to a utility patent. So did you kind of go that route as well?
Utility was the first one I did.
Okay.
And I heard it's the hardest to get.
Utility by far definitely is the hardest. Absolutely.
Yeah, very first one I got. And but like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I have to base my decisions based off of the direction that I'm given, right? Yeah. Until I figure out otherwise. And so I was given some pretty bad information. And that's why I tell people, to look. You may not know, the ins and outs. I don't know the jargon. When they actually gave me the my patents app, everything that he put in, and it was like, and I'm reading it, it's like, oh yeah, I would never be able to word this the way it should.
And that's no fault to you. I've worked with engineers at top 100 companies that when I send them a patent application or review, they'll just look at the drawings and say, hey, the drawings look good. They're not even bothered trying to read the text, because it's like, man, y'all write in such a complete different language that, I'd never understand it. So I'm not even going to waste my time trying to do it. I'll just look at the drawings and the drawings look good. So you saying that happens all the time.
Ooh, yeah. But, I did that, just like anything like finances, I'm not a CPA or anything, but I'm going to look to see, I'm going to learn what I can, so I can at least talk to you about it. So if anything, if I can go back and change the way I did anything, it would really delve in and not just take the word of one sole person. When it came to something as big as this, this is my dream. It started with my dream. Yeah. And so I'm going to go way far and beyond what somebody else is going to do. They don't, we see it, but not everybody's going to see it. So, that was pretty much up to me. And I kick myself a lot still for that.
Oh, and that's interesting because, obviously I do things one way as a patent attorney, and I kind of believe I'm a pretty, good patent attorney. But then you kind of have these conversations with other people, so business owners such as yourself, and you're like, man, some of these people, I don't want to say getting screwed, but they're getting the short end of the stick with their counsel on different things, which is like surprising, because like you said, a lot of times, man, when you go to them, especially as a startup company or, somebody who's going through the process for the first time, this is your baby. So it's like, man, I'm putting my world into this thing, and not to get the, just kind of good counsel, man. It can be discouraging at times, just me hearing about it. But it seems like kind of you bounce back in a major way, which is a good thing. I wanted to ask you this, and we talked about this offline a little bit. The $1.2 million. So you get an offer, and it seems like this was a pre-launch $1.2 million offer for 80% of the company. You have to take me through that and kind of, take me in the audience through that, and kind of what was the mindset at that point of time to turn it down? Because again, this is not like, okay, I sold 10, 20,000 units and now they're coming beating on my door. This is like pre-launch, from my understanding, maybe not having sold anything, and somebody's offering you a $1.2 million check. Not a lot of people would have did that, Felicia. Did that.
I know. And look, that was the time I quit my job. We only had one income. We had lost our car, almost was losing our home. And I get a phone call because now, I'm in conversations with, different people, because I have my patent. I can say I'm patent pending. And, these conversations are coming to me. And it was like, let's have a meeting. I go to this meeting, very nice restaurant. And we're talking, I see this CPR. It was called the CPR Wrap at the time. I see this here. And, every new mom should have this. And it was like, woo. It's like they get it.
Did you know these people that you were talking to, or this was like kind of really a cold call?
Yeah. It was I knew the person that connected us.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Right. It was through a mutual connection. Yeah. And so they brought the money to the meeting. Brought a check.
Hold on. They brought the money to the meeting?
Brought money to the meeting. 80% of my company, they wanted me to continue to run it. They wanted me to be the face because it's my story, right?
Yeah, for sure.
The brand came from what happened to me. But they wanted 80%. They were going to give me $1.2 million for my concept. It was just a concept. It was still written on paper. I still have the paper to where I designed it. And that was all I had. And it was like, man, if they can see now. So I tell people, have people that are team you. I don't care if it was 2 people, 10 people, I don't care. And I had 2 people just like that. I excused myself. I said, wait a minute, let me go to the restroom, took my phone, and I immediately called. One of those people was they're angel investor, and the other one is a financial CFO. And I'm talking to them. This is what's happening. It's going down. They brought money, $1.2 million. What should I do? And one of them said, I can't tell you what to do. I know you're going through things, you make that decision. But the other guy, Marco, he said, I'm not going to tell you to take it. I'm not going to tell you not to take it. But if they're offering you that amount of money for something that's not even produced right now, imagine what this product is going to be years from now. But you got to figure out, can you wait that long while you build it? I said, that's all I needed to hear. Went back to the table and I declined that money. Oh my gosh.
So let me ask you this. I have so many follow-up questions to this. Do you think that it would have been an amount of money that they would have offered? So for example, what if they doubled it 2.4? Are you still kind of, you a little closer, or are you still saying it was no amount of money that they can offer me for me to kind of take that?
During the time, my mindset then, if I'm talking to Felicia, that was like 8 years ago, if they doubled it, I don't know. I probably would have been on the scale because I owned 100% of the company. I didn't have any investors or anything, right? Yep. It was like, maybe. And they want me to continue to work, which means they're going to continue to pay me.
Pay you a salary.
I'm going to get a salary. Plus, I have $2 million in my bank, right? And I'm an inventor. So I'm constantly inventing something, right? That will free me up.
Yep.
But it was like something said, no, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was divine intervention, but I just knew I couldn't go with that. And if it was double, I probably would have said no. Wow. Today, I'd say no.
Yeah. Wow.
Definitely.
That's I didn't realize. I know you told the story. I didn't realize they actually brought the money to the actual. And again, let me ask you this, because again, this is probably going to really kind of bring this full circle from an IP perspective. Do you think that they would have did that if you didn't have a patent pending? Because it seems like at that point in time you had the sketches and the concepts, but it seems like you also had the patent pending. So do you think their mindset would have been different, but for you having that patent pending?
Probably was, because I'm thinking that patent pending. I mean, that's right. I mean, think all the work I had to do to get that. That's work. That's work. Even though the product wasn't validated by Live Save like it is now. That's a big step. And it was like, okay, she's taking the steps to really protect this product and her company. So, yeah.
So how many, because I know at the time being on, kind of getting off into the Buy It Now, I know at the time of Buy It Now, you had sold 80,000 units. What is like the current number units sold at this point in time? Right
now, it's a little over 100,000 units.
Okay.
We made over $1 million. I mean, it was like, and like you said, we had some really close to the Buy It Now, like right off the heels of this social media thing that we had going on TikTok. Oh my gosh, then comes Buy It Now. And we made over $600,000 in less than a week.
Oh, really? From being on Buy It Now?
No, that was prior to Buy It Now.
Oh,
but after Buy It Now, right? Yeah, that was prior to Buy It Now. I mean, just right there, like back to back.
Yeah.
Yes, but Buy It Now, it really, pushed us out, because no matter, it's like, because I still get amazed. Like, we've done licensing deals in other countries. People are using our product in London, UK, Finland, Australia. But I can stand outside of my little city in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and ask people, do you know what CPR Wrap is? And a lot of them will say no. So because of that, that gets me. I mean, that was like, ooh, everybody should have this
Well, no,
product.
everybody, yeah. And again, you know,
Right.
it's sure because it seems like it's a no-brainer, especially
Yeah.
getting into that life and death situation. Like you said, new moms and yeah, it seems like everybody should have one, which it only makes sense. So I can understand the want for everybody to know about CPR Wrap.
All right. Yeah.
What,
So I'm
what,
not
what,
done by any means.
what made you go on to buy it now? Obviously, you know, I'm not sure if you kind of, you know, looked at the whole Shark Tank thing, but what made you say, okay, it's this new show from Amazon. A lot of people don't know about it now. Is, you know, Amazon show. Let me kind of go do this in hopes to kind of get the product out there. So how was that? How did all that come into fruition?
It was somebody, it was a friend. It was a friend of mine who lived in California, and she saw that they were casting for this new show. She didn't know anything about the show, didn't know the name. And that was right after, I think I had tried Shark Tank 3 or 4 times. You know, I went to their open calls, you know, traveled. I mean, loved the product, got a standing ovation, but never made it past for whatever reason. And so I said, okay, well, let me try. So I did the online thing. They called and asked for an interview, and we did a online interview, and it was we did like 2 or 3 of them. I mean, it was really intense. Producers and everybody, and they wanted to see how I portrayed myself on, you know, television. I'm pretty sure, and they said, and they always said up until the time they flew me to California, we're not saying you're going to be on the show, but you're still in the running. And it was like, oh my gosh. I mean, my heart was beating. I mean, the whole process took probably 6 or 7 months to actually make it down there and film. But it was somebody that said, hey, I need you to apply for this. You know, and it was like, she didn't ask me. She told me, you're going to apply for this. And it's like, okay.
And that's the cool thing about just having friends that's looking out, because I was wondering about that, because obviously, like you said, Amazon, that's a studio in California, and you're in, you know, small town Chattanooga, Tennessee. So it's like, okay, how did that link up? Did somebody, a producer or whatnot, reach out to you? But it seems like a friend kind of looked out or maybe told you, hey, you're going to do this. So which it seemed like it paid off.
Yeah. A lot of the companies that were pitching on the show, they were scouted by this television for Amazon, or I don't think that, maybe a couple of them had actually been on Shark Tank too. Oh, wow. I was the only one that reached out to them and applied. A lot of them were, you know, the ones that was chosen,
right,
to be on the show.
And that's interesting, because I mean, I watched all of those episodes, and I think you, again, for the people who don't know about you now, it was like a game show. So it's not necessarily the same thing as Shark Tank, where you have the sharks grilling you as a game show. So you're describing your product. There's 100 members, or, you know, maybe 100 members in the audience, and they, as you're describing the product, they're going to give you a green, meaning that they'll buy it, or a red, meaning that they won't buy it. And you have to have, I forget the number of greens before you can go to the panel of 3 to, you know, you need 2. Okay, 5 is it? Okay, you need 2. Then you need 2 out of the 3 panel members to say essentially that they like your product to go into the buy it now store. And it was crazy kind of that you said that, because you initially had 97 people who said, hey, you know, gave you green lights, and then once you gave them the price of $9.99, then it went to $9.99, then it went to 99 people. So I don't think I've ever seen that where you had pretty much all but one audience member say that they'll buy your product in all the episodes that I've watched of Buy It Now. So clearly you had to go down in like the Buy It Now history as far as kind of how that played out.
Yeah, that was crazy. 60 seconds to sell them your idea. And the great thing is, these are people, you know, it's not just sharks and people that are going to invest in you to put it out there to your end user. These are our end users.
Yep. And that's why it was the surprising thing, because it was like, okay, this is a separate. I mean, this is the distinction between Shark Tank, because it's one thing for the sharks to think, because again, sometimes the sharks get it wrong. They think it's going to sell or not going to sell, and it ends up being the reverse. But now you actually have the customer base in there telling you whether or not, hey, I will buy this thing, whether it's kind of based on the utility or the price or whatever the case may be, or no, I won't buy this thing. And I thought that was ingenious. So, I mean, hopefully they bring that show back. But like I said, I thought how they did it was very helpful to you all as the business owners, and kind of being able to take kind of, because I think sometimes they, you know, ask the audience member questions in terms of why they voted the way they did. So I thought it was great feedback for you guys to be able to take from the actual customers back and kind of, you know, tweak the product if necessary. And obviously, like I said, you kind of did your thing with having 99 out of 100, which I don't think I saw that with any other pitch on Buy It Now?
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I always say, look, I wanted to ask him, are you a plant? Are you for real?
Yeah, when they put it on him, it was like, man, this guy, it seems like he came off as a plant. Like, man, somebody put you up. Like, hey, if everybody go green, then you got to be that guy that go red, because we can't have a perfect 100 for 100. So let me ask you this, and I think this is a good segue into my next question. And again, we talked about a lot of wins. We talked about the $1.2 million offer before you sold the product. We talked about the Buy It Now, 99 out of 100, and kind of that aspect. We saw, over 100,000 units sold. So it's been a lot of wins, Felicia, but we know that business is not necessarily a linear progression, just up, up, up. It's almost like a roller coaster. You got the ups, you got the downs. So can you, and this is a two-part question, can you tell me the biggest breakthrough, the biggest challenge that you had to overcome with the business up until this point in time? And then I guess on the flip side, and you got a lot of breakthroughs to kind of choose from, but then also the biggest breakthrough that kind of happened that kind of made you like, okay, yeah, we can do this. So again, the first question is the biggest challenge that you had to overcome with the business up until this point in time, and then on the flip side, the biggest breakthrough that you had.
Right. So the biggest challenge, because I had to figure out, I had to develop a thick skin. I call myself an introvert. I know people hate when I say that. You can't tell now. I don't like the sales stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, if I could give this away, I really would. But I had to become all things CPR Wrap, which means salesperson. Yep. And one of the first companies that I went to, and I went from working a 9 to 5 to working 24, 48 hours, nonstop, right?
Around the clock.
And so around the clock. And so I actually went to it was a facility.
Okay.
And I went there and I'm pitching the product, doing a demonstration, got my little CPR mannequin and everything. We love this. We can see it in our facility. Oh, we want a partner. And she said, I bet you hate that your boss has you working. Because I never said I'm Felicia. I'm
really?
Felicia. I never did that. Never did that.
Why would she say that though?
And she said, I want to have it in my facility. She said, I bet you hate your boss has you working on the weekend. And I looked and I said, well, I'm the founder. I invented it. She looked at me and it was like something clicked. I don't know what happened. And then she said, well, I don't think that we'll be able to work with you right now.
Really?
And so I'm thinking, yes. And I'm thinking just a few minutes ago, you love the product and you see it everywhere. And now you don't want to work with me. I said, okay, fine. So I packed all my stuff up. I didn't ask for any questions, and I left. I got in the car and I just started crying. And it was like, I cannot believe this happened. And this would have been my first big deal to me. Yeah. Because at first I was just selling direct to consumer and, very small. Nobody knew that we were there. And now this semi-large company wanted my product. And that hurt me. And it's like, man, and this is not the first time it's happened, but and I hate to throw, so why you throwing the race card out there? Mm-hmm. But being a minority inventor or founder of a business, sometimes they don't look at the product or services that you have. They're looking at you.
Unfortunately.
And sometimes they don't. Unfortunately, it happens. And it's happened more than once with me. Yeah. Because I like to do testing. I like to do A/B and testing. So I'll send somebody in that works for the company that doesn't look like me, and they'll get a deal. And it's like, I did the thing prior before them and I didn't get the deal. So that hurt. That really hurt. But you got to develop a thick skin. It's like, well, I keep it moving.
Keep it moving. And then I guess, what would you say, again, I know you have a lot of breakthroughs, but what would you say was the kind of the biggest breakthrough that kind of happened that you was like, okay, we rocking and rolling now?
I know. And it wasn't here in the U, like, and we were just saying, it's a US company, but for this product, I started getting like other countries that wanted to do it because it's different in other countries like the UK, Indonesia. A lot of these companies have first aid, like it's mandatory to have a first aid kit in the car. I don't care if you're driving, it's a government, non-government, you have to have a first aid kit in the car. Wow. And so when they saw CPR Wrap, it was like, oh, we have to have these. We don't have these anywhere. And so I did my first big deal with a company in Australia. in Australia, and they ordered probably like 20,000 units. And it was like, here I am going from 2 to 3, maybe 4 or 5 to trying to do a 20,000 unit PO. I don't have an EDI system. I don't have any of that. I don't have a logistics carrier. I have all my inventory in my garage, in another room in my house. How am I going to ship this? I said, yes, we can do it. And I figured out a way.
It figured out a way. Hey, look, I was just going to say, I know you figured out a way on that one.
I did.
So it seems like you, and that's the pretty cool thing, which kind of goes back to the earlier point that I guess I don't want to kind of hit on too much more. But it seems like you've kind of had a decent amount of sales, overseas with the product, which, like I said, I can see that from the beginning. As you talked about where it is, CPR stuff and just kind of first aid training is mandatory in a lot of these countries.
Yeah. Then, you come up, if you want to ship anywhere out overseas, they have, just like the FDA, they have regulatory practices that you have to do. Like, we have to do like Band-Aids, even though my product is a class 1, we have to have that protection. And then you have to have that when you want to export into other places. And I found a workaround, especially with the one in Australia. I put CPR Wrap under their umbrella when it came to their, I can't think of the name of it. And I'm blanking out. I'm so sorry. It's like the FDA here in the US, but it's in Australia. And I can see the mnemonics. I think of the name of it.
I got you.
Those money.
Yep.
That costs money.
Yeah.
$5,000, $7,000, $10,000. Yep. And you have to pay that every year.
Wow.
Right? To keep that regulatory right. And so it's like, I don't have that kind of money. Let's put CPR Wrap under yours.
Yeah.
And then, but that made them my exclusive distributor for Australia, which was fine. I'm not going to Australia, knocking on doors, trying to make those partnerships. I want one good partner distributor that's doing it.
Yep.
And then you can do it.
No, yeah. So it definitely seemed like you signed maybe a more or less a license, an exclusive licensing deal with the carrier or the company out in Australia, which no, that's pretty cool. Let me ask you this because I know you talked about being an inventor and always kind of tinkering with different things. I think I was seeing on the website, which I was kind of blown away by, that you had an animal CPR wrap where it's like, I guess you don't even think about this for animals, but I guess they would kind of maybe require something different. Do you have any new products that's maybe kind of we could be on the lookout for, whether it's the animal version or any other products?
Right. So just for the animal right now, CPR K9, that's going to be explosive. I mean, like, you think the market for humans is huge. Yeah. Animals, I don't even too much care for dogs. But when I got my dog, I was buying, I think I was out of $1,000 buying stuff that he probably didn't need. And when I talked, I think I pitched and I said something about it. And Mars Pet Care was there in the house. And it was like, when you get that, let us know. And it was like, wow. I mean, this is untapped. There's nothing out there like it at all, because, I made friends with, I think his name's Eric Ryan. And he was the founder of a company called Welly. A big company bought his business for millions, 40 million or something like, could have been 400 million. I don't know. It was huge. But what he did was he took something like cleaning products, right? Something that's already out there in the market, made the brand simple and put his own, put his name on it, put that name on it, made it big and sold it, And so these are the people that I'm working with. And it's like, okay, this is great because CPR Wrap was going to be a value add in the Welly. I know you've seen those in Target, the little Band-Aid boxes and stuff like that. So it's like, well, I have a completely new concept there's nothing out there like it at all. So when it goes on these shelves and it's out there, it's not really competing with anything. Right. So, that makes other companies look at it. It's like, okay, wow, this is a value add. It's all about value add. What, and what can we help them with? Not all about the bells and whistles of CPR Wrap, but what is their need? How can this help them?
Right.
And once I figured that out, it was like, I got it. I got it.
Yeah, no, and I like that. Like you said, man, hey, people care about their pets. A lot of times they care about the pets more than they care about the kids. So yeah, that was gonna be explosive when it comes out. I guess I just have two final questions for you. What advice would you give? Because again, you kind of came from a different upbringing in terms of not, and I think you even said it on the show where it's like, hey, you didn't have entrepreneurs in your family. This was kind of really the school of hard knocks, being the first of your kind. What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneur, somebody who's kind of maybe playing that double dutch game? I mean, like I said, we all have ideals, but you have those people like, okay, do I kind of try to bring it to market? Do I not bring it to market? They're kind of doing that double dutch. What advice would you give to that person?
Yeah, I get it all the time. I mean, all the time. It's like, man, should I be a consultant? Because I'm always telling people, don't let fear be your driver. Don't do things because you're fearful or let fear stop you. You got this product or service for a reason. And you won't know. I mean, no one really has a crystal ball. We have data, we have analytics to see how things may go. But once it gets out into the market, you don't know how it's going to do.
Right.
You just have to do it fast, and get it out there and get that information. And then if it doesn't work, you got to learn how to pivot, and you got to learn how to pivot quick.
I like that. And again, I know a lot of people, some people don't like the word pivot, but that's the part of the game, to be able to kind of understand what's working, what's not working, and kind of quickly pivot as opposed to kind of stay with something too long that's not working.
That's right.
Then I guess the last question, and maybe the most important question, is how can people follow you and go purchase the product?
All right. Look, you never have to get ready. If you stay ready, you got to go. That's right. So you can visit us at cprwrap.com. Soon, I can't say the name, we'll be in over 6,000 retail stores this year. Woo! And so look for me on social media, CPR Wrap, because when I say y'all is out there, is alive, I need y'all to go to this retail store and get your CPR Wrap kit so you can be ready. We're ready.
You know what? I just from an IP, and this is kind of just how my mind works these days, just kind of being an IP person. I think about everything, whether it's a trademark, patent, so that get ready or stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I like that as a tagline from like a trademark perspective. I think that's pretty cool. And obviously, like you said, get ready or stay ready so you don't have to get ready. That's definitely applicable to this. So I mean, that's good stuff. So definitely, I'm going to put the socials in your website when the interview comes out. I'll put that in the description so that people can go check it out, check out the product, go purchase the product. And I guess to the extent that somebody's watching this from overseas, whether it's, you see, like Australia is locked down, we already got that covered. But if somebody's in Europe or in the UK, one of these other countries, and wants to maybe kind of bring this over or partner with you or bring it, the product over to their country, how do they go about getting in touch with you? Is it just kind of email, or is it a social media, or how does that work?
Yeah, we just locked down the UK and the EU. We got our CE mark over there. The people that I partner with, I did a licensing deal not too long ago. It's called Project Rosie, and they are killing it. So the UK, we already got locked down. We're working with Indonesia next, but any other country, when I say any and all, Africa, I don't care, a continent of Africa, anywhere, just reach out to Felicia at cprwrap.com or info@cprwrap.com, and we will make it work.
Nice. Well, you heard him. You heard her. Definitely go hit her up if you're interested in getting the CPR Wrap, that product in your particular jurisdiction. And again, to the audience members, Felicia, she dropped a lot of jewels in this one. Again, one of the good things I like about kind of this particular interview is you kind of, it wasn't like you had the silver spoon in your mouth. You kind of really was kind of the school of hard knocks, learned a lot of this stuff for the first time. And it seems like, which is the best part of it all, it seems like you just getting started. Getting started, which I love to see it. And again, the other cool thing about it is it's not like you're from a big state or even a big city, small town, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Like when I get these spam calls, a lot of times they're coming from Chattanooga, Tennessee for whatever reason, or that's the phone number. But again, you can be an entrepreneur and live out the American dream is my ultimate point, regardless of kind of the size of the town or whatever the case may be. But if you're just willing to kind of go forward, which again, like you said, you had to kind of continue to push forward through the ups and the downs of it all. You're able to kind of have a lot of success in the same way that Felicia did. So Hopefully, audience members, you maybe have to watch this twice, but it was a lot of jewels dropped in this interview, and I thoroughly enjoyed it as well. So go
Thank you
check
so
it
much for
out.
having me.
Absolutely, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. You guys take care.